Daniel J. Boorstin was an acclaimed author, a historian, and a member of the Congress for several years. He is known for many of his accomplishments throughout his life. One of those being the history book he wrote called The Discoverers, a history of man's search to know his world and himself. However, The Discoverers is not your average history book. It is written in the form of a novel with different chapters and books that each tell a story of history and discovery on their own. It is an engaging, fast-paced work of history that stems from the main theme of a man's need to know, which makes it suitable for a wide variety of readers. The Discoverers is laid out into 4 different books: Time, The Earth and the Seas, Nature, and Society. Each of these books are laid out in chronological order. However, dates and times might overlap from book to book. This can make it a little more confusing if you're not paying close attention to how the book is laid out. Within each book are parts and chapters. From chapter to chapter, the topic of the chapter can change without any transition or warning. For example, chapter 28 is titled Dead End in Vinland and is about Vikings ransacking and discovering new lands. Chapter 29 is titled The Power of the Winds and talks about how sailors use the wind and other devices to help them on the waters. And chapter 30 is titled The Enterprise of the Indies and is about Christopher and Bartholomew Columbus's company ideas and struggles. Each chapter feels like it's its own mini story or biography within the scheme of a bigger picture. This can also be confusing to the average reader who prefers a clear and logical layout with smooth transitioning within writing. However, the idea of changing the topics, talking about several different important events within the time period, and not dragging out concepts and ideas for too long can be helpful in engaging the readers. Boorstin demonstrates that he is a well-rounded, brilliant individual throughout the Discoverers. He has an endless amount of knowledge on so many different events, time periods, important people, and places in history. This can be seen in several different circumstances throughout the book when he brings up a topic that can be related to what he is talking about, however, is not the main point or for writing that passage or paragraph. An example is in chapter 2 when Boorstin writes, "The sun's day, like the first David, prefigured the dazzling light of the sun in the true Savior." Here, Boorstin compares the sun's day to David, a character in the Bible, without giving any insight about who David is or how he relates to that day. Unless you had prior knowledge of David, you might feel as if you are reading a book full of hidden inside jokes that Boorstin is making. This could agitate or confuse some readers. Others, however, who do have extensive prior knowledge about events in history and other topics written about in the book would find this very appealing and engaging because of how Boorstin can connect subjects and offer anecdotes, making his style of writing very unique and original. As for the purpose of this book, Boorstin writes in his personal note to the readers, "My focus remains on mankind's need to know what is out there." Boorstin does an exceptional job throughout the book discussing this topic in a variety of ways. He dissects each piece of time, the earth and the seas, nature, and society, and puts them in the perspective of why they were important in discovery. Boorstin also had countless numbers of historical characters scattered throughout the book that were a key figure in the theme of man's need to know. Boorstin describes these figures as man, the discoverer, which is a great way to summarize the historical people written about within this book. Overall, The Discoverers by Daniel J. Boorstin is an amazing work of literary art that perfectly ties together originality, excitement, and knowledge together to create this masterpiece. Although there are a few places that may confuse certain readers, I believe that the main point of the book was perfectly executed in a way that many readers will appreciate. I highly recommend The Discoverers to any student, historian, professor, or history buff who is looking to get a wide understanding of the Earth's discoveries and the people who played large roles within them.